Hey peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the grayscale trusts and how Bitcoin just seems to be falling off a cliff. So with that being said, let's get it. All right, so first thing I want to go over here is Bitcoin and the altcoins. As you guys can see, these things are just getting absolutely pounded. I'm not going to lie, it's looking a little bit scary for crypto right now, but this is unfortunately this is just how it goes. I mean, there's always a risk that Bitcoin and altcoins could dump, and everybody thinks it goes up forever. I mean, it seems like it does when it does, but when it doesn't, people start to freak out and they wonder why. We still have our altcoin positions. We're not going to sell at a loss. I'll just tell you that right now. I don't think it's the end of the cycle. I think we still have a long ways to go. I just think, again, Bitcoin's gotten a little overheated and it needs to cool off a little bit. With either it doesn't necessarily have to be a big pullback. It could be a relatively modest pullback, like maybe 20%, 25%, something like that, or maybe just a pullback in time where it kind of just goes up and down for a long period of time within a range like what we see right now. So you can see Bitcoin's pulling back to 64,000. The important thing I want to point out here is the I don't have it pulled up right now, but you guys can go back and check on the last Bitcoin video that I made for you when I talked about the Pi Cycle Top indicator and how the range between the bands was $60,000 to $90,000. Okay, remember those numbers: 60 to 90,000. Well, 60,000 is pretty much right around this trend line right here. So you guys can see that it's not exact. Okay, 58,500 would be if this thing just drops straight back down to the trend line. It'd be about 58,500. It could wick down and then pop back up. Or maybe, let's say next week, it wicks down to 59,400. As you guys can see, each progressing week, this thing just gets higher and higher. So unless this thing immediately comes down to the trend line, there's no real risk of it going below 60,000 if that the yellow EMA on the Pi Cycle Top indicator is actually to hold a support, which generally speaking, before Bitcoin's run to new all-time highs, that's usually what happens when we see in a bull run. And again, the spot Bitcoin ETFs did kind of seemingly shift the cycle left a little bit or forward in time, basically meaning that it plays out faster. But I don't know that that's necessarily true because, again, the spot Ether ETFs have yet to come out, and they have been approved, but they have yet to be listed. When exactly that's going to be, I don't know. But we already have our bags loaded and are considering adding probably another $8,000 before the end of the year. So pretty much 60 to 90K, that's what we're looking at for Bitcoin. It is having a slight pullback and alts are getting absolutely smashed. But again, that's just another dip buying opportunity, whether you guys choose to take advantage of it or not, whether we choose to take advantage of it or not. I mean, that's completely up to us. So let's get into the grayscale trust. So LTCN, you guys can see that this thing has held down resistance here pretty firmly. So I actually got to move these trend lines. Again, thank you, Atticus, for pointing this out. For some reason, I had this on log. I don't know how that happened, but must have accidentally clicked a button wrong or something. Not sure. But let's just go ahead and do this. Okay, now it looks more accurate. So, all right. So it would have. Well, hold on a second. Let me redo this. So I want to try to get all these touch points here. So generally, when you're doing a trend line, you usually, generally speaking, you want to get as many touch points on the trend as humanly possible. So like, candle bodies, candle wicks, that kind of thing. It makes perfect sense to line it up. So as of right now, LTCN is holding this trend line here. It's bouncing off, as you guys can see, with what looks to be like a hammer candle formation. But again, like I told y'all, if it breaks down below this support level, likely it is going to come down to this trend line. You can see it move pretty quickly down here. So that support as of right now is pretty much just below the current price. So I'd say about $17. Now the support level below that, which you guys can see is pretty clearly defined here. Basically, we're looking at previous support, turn resistance, then turn support. So that level currently stands at between $13 to about $15. And do understand that if Bitcoin and the altcoins are going even lower, like let's say Bitcoin does go to 60,000, or even worse, it goes down to like 50,000 before having a major bounce. I don't think it's going to go to 50,000, but let's say it goes to 60,000, we could see a little bit more downside on the Grayscale Trust, which means we might bounce maybe in this support zone here. So just want you guys to keep that in mind. So this level, as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and change this to resistance. Again, that level is between $24 to $27. The swing high up here is at 54-ish, 55. So from the current price all the way up to the swing high, you guys would be looking at roughly about a 209% gain. We'll talk about the $7,500 and $135 levels once we get back above this trend line here. So BCHG, this one's actually fared a little bit worse than LTCN. You guys can kind of see this drop and then this rolling off pattern here. That's obviously a very bearish sign. So I actually need to move this support zone out a little bit. There we go. All right, so likely it is going to come back down into support. And I don't think it's going to come all the way back down to this trend line, but for now we're looking at support. So again, support is going to be $7 to $8, or $7 to $7.80, I should say. And then the ultimate target you're looking for a swing high up here is all the way up here at roughly about $24. So if we were just to measure this from here to the swing high, you'd be looking at about 194% move. And again, the resistance levels above that is going to be about $10 to $12.70, and then you have $18 to $20 respectively. HZEN, this one does actually look like it wants to maybe come down below this current support that we have right now. Again, we still have 3 trading days left, so it's hard to say exactly if it's going to close as of right now or not. But if I pop down to the daily time frame here, you guys can see that this is the first candle on the daily that's actually poking below the current support level. So again, no confirmation on either the daily or the weekly time frame. But we do have a kind of a bear trend here. If this candle plays out bearish and confirms on the weekly, this would be a bear trend. So a high, a low, lower high, and then a confirmed lower low, which means likely it's going to come into the support, which again is between 250 to 290. I mean, it's just another deep discount, dip buying opportunity. What you guys choose to do with that is up to you. So swing high up here is 1050. That's 184% return. Let's say it does go all the way back down to the support, which obviously would not be great because, I mean, there is support there, but then again, it would be below the EMAs, which is pretty bearish. You'd be looking at a 321% gain. ETCG, this one's still holding up firmly. I think a lot of the Ethereum speculators out there are still speculating that the spot ETH ETFs are going to get some kind of ticker symbols here soon, and I think they are. I would say likely they're going to get their symbols listed in July. Okay, so I'm just going to throw a theory out there. This is a little bit of a speculation on my part, but I think what's likely going to happen is Bitcoin and altcoins are going to go down and or sideways with the Grayscale trusts into July. Okay, this is going to be just enough fear, just enough FUD. Well, maybe not FUD, but enough fear in the markets, enough selling off going into probably somewhere between the start to the middle of next month. Then we get the Ether ticker symbols listed on the exchanges. People can buy and sell them and stuff like that. And then we start seeing money flow from Bitcoin into Ethereum, and we have an ETH and altcoin season. That is my prediction. Whether it comes true or not, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. So support currently for ETCG, 1120. I mean, the move up to this previous support up here, I'm actually going to call this resistance now, would not really be that big. So let's just aim for the swing high up here. Again, that's 1940 per share on ETCG. So to go from the current price to the swing high would be 60%. To go from the bottom of support to the swing high would be 72%. And if I were to do basically, what is this? This is, hold on one sec, guys. So this is, oh, right, this is the flag target. So, okay, so your flag targets, you're looking at roughly about $25.50 is what that would be. So if I were to measure that from the current price to the flag target, it would be 111%. But again, I mean, ETCG, I'm not really expecting this one to move until we get the ticker symbols on the DTCC website. If you guys don't know what that is, go look it up. So ETHE, this thing does look like it's going to pull back into support. Again, support is between $25 to $29. So the targets would basically be anywhere between $41 to about $48. Above and beyond that, I mean, you're looking at this ridiculous cup and handle target up here at 160. Looks like roughly about $163. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that first from roughly about the current price all the way to the cup and handle target. So 390% gain. And again, when the spot Ether ETFs do get listed, it would not surprise me if that really was where the price was going to go. And again, the cup and handle is kind of based on basically the neckline to the bottom of the cup would be the measurement, and then, or okay, I don't know what's going on here. So somehow I have this off. Okay, let's try this again. So the neckline, or I should say, yeah, the neckline to right there. So basically we got our breakout here. Okay, I'm not sure what this is then. Maybe it looked like that because it was on a log chart. So $50. But whatever the case, I mean, again, it wouldn't shock me if it went to 165. If I do a Fibonacci retracement from the all-time high to the all-time low here, you guys can see the numbers are even more ridiculous than that. So the top Fibonacci level would actually be higher than that previous target, which is $184. So again, that's possible. And, you know, if we see anything like what we saw with Bitcoin, I mean, ETH and ETCG could easily do a 10x. It would not surprise me. So resistance, again, that's going to be between $40 to $47. If I just do the measured move from the current price to this, basically the top of resistance here, it's 51% gain. Again, that's pretty good. If you guys to the bottom of support here, all the way to resistance, it's a 90% gain. So FILG, this thing is in no man's land. It kind of has this bear trend going on, but now it's not making a new low, but it's also not making a new high yet. So kind of stuck in no man's land. Pretty much the main thesis of what I'd be looking for here is, so we have our inverse head and shoulders pattern here, which is, wow, I don't know why the log chart always makes this thing look so off. That's really weird. So roughly pretty much slightly above all-time highs, $440. But what I would be looking for PhilG to actually get into this thing is for a drop down to support, so about $35 to $40. If that happens, I mean, the gain would be huge. Even from the current price, it's pretty massive, 325%. However, if it got all the way down to the support, you guys can see it would be absolutely stupid. So you'd be making 1,000% gain. I mean, that's craziness. That's over a 10x. So a 10x in crypto is actually really good. I mean, you know, if you hit like a 50, 100, 1000x, that's basically a grand slam at that point. So GBAT, this thing is pulling back quite aggressively. Again, support is going to be roughly about $8 to $9.90. I just rounded up and say $10. The all-time high up there is at 32. So, I mean, at this point, if I was going to buy into this thing, I'd be waiting for it to get into support like back here. As you guys can see, the window could be very short to get in here, or it could be long. Could sit here for quite a few weeks, or it could just sit here for a few days. It's hard to say, honestly, but the move from the current price to the high would be 210%. If you manage to squeeze in some shares at the bottom here, the move would then turn into 306%. So GLIV, there is, again, kind of almost an inverse head and shoulders pattern looking thing going on here, but I'm not going to actually use that because it's not like textbook perfect. So we're looking for support here. Again, $12 to about $15 on support. The swing high is all the way up at $80. Just to give you guys an idea of what the risk is here. you'd be looking at about a 52% drop. I mean, again, that is possible. So from the support all the way up to the swing high, it'd be about a 511% move. So G-Link, this thing, I'm going to go ahead and say it that it does look like it wants to get back down into support. It looks very much like it. So it came down, retested, had a pop back up, failed to make a new high, or new all-time high, I should say, and then is now looking like it wants to retest support. So support is going to be between $67 to $85, and the swing high up here is going to be $220. So let's just say you managed to squeeze some shares in somewhere in the middle of support, ride it all the way up to the highs. It's a 196% move. GSOL, this is a very bearish candle. Okay, so this is a shooting star candle, guys. If this does play out like this for the week, GSOL likely is going to go much lower. Not a guarantee, but that's usually how these things play out. So 52% drop is your risk. Again, the first support is 167 to 202. The swing high is at 581. We haven't bought GSOL at all, honestly, because I mean the risk for the drop down to support is just too high in my opinion. So from support to the swing high, you'd be looking at about 248%. GXLM, so this thing has broken the trend line, unfortunately. So your next line of defense here is going to be roughly about $25. That could be potentially another bottom. So swing high up here is roughly about $70. So if I was to measure this from the current price to the swing high, it's a 120% move. And then from the lower support to the swing high, about 172% move. Okay, so Mana is back in support much sooner than expected. I really legitimately thought this thing was going to rip to new all-time highs. Apparently it did not. So that does happen sometimes. I mean, it's not every move is going to play out exactly as expected. The markets are always changing. Patterns are always changing. It's just kind of the way things go. So we're back down in the ideal support right now. Again, as of right now, this is the ideal buying point. You guys can do whatever you want to with that. So swing highs at $70. 1780 to about 2050 is what you're looking at for support. Swing high or basically the support to the swing high, you'd be looking at 265% gain. Zcash, this thing has hasn't broken through support exactly, but you know, if in 3 days from now this candle is still below support, I would say likely it has broken through support. So if it goes down, it's probably going to go down likely to about 310 a share, I would say. Maybe get some kind of bounce there. We'll see how it reacts at that level. So the swing high up here is 10.25. So if I take it from the current point to the swing high, 153% move. And if I take it from, let's say, the potential bounce point to the swing high, you'd be looking at 226%. So the only one that I've been able to see, or the only ones I should say that I've seen that, in my opinion, would be great buys right now would be LTCN. BCHG is getting pretty close. I'd want to see it get into that green box. HZEN, I would say, is probably a good opportunity to buy right now. Possibly ETCG. I mean, it has bounced in this area a lot. ETH, I would not touch this. I'd wait for it to get back down to support. PhilG, I'd definitely wait for that to get down to support. Would not touch it. GBAT, need a little bit more of a drop here to get the ideal entry. GLIV, I wouldn't touch this because it's in no man's land. It has no direction as of right now. G-Link, still be waiting for a drop. GSOL, definitely would not touch this with a 10-foot pole. It's still too expensive in my opinion. GXLM, I wouldn't touch this. Again, I'd be looking for a drop down to this line right here. I would not get in right now because it could just keep dropping further, or maybe DCA is what I might do. Mana, I would absolutely get into this right now if I was going to. Zcash, I'd be waiting for confirmation one way or another on whether it's going to go up or down at the close of this week. So anyways, that's not financial advice. That's just what I would do. You guys can do what you want to do. But I hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.